तस्मै श्री गुरवे नमः। ओम विष्णुपादाय कृष्णप्रेष्ठाय भूतले श्रीमते भक्तिवेदांत स्वामिनिति नामिने नमस्ते सारस्वते देवे गौरवाणी प्रचारिणे निर्विशेष शून्यवादी पाश्चात्य देशकारिणे वंशाकल्पतरुभ्यश्च कृपा सिन्धुभ्य एव च पतितानां पावनेभ्यो वैष्णवेभ्यो नमो नमः। जय श्री कृष्ण चैतन्य प्रभु नित्यानंद श्री अद्वैत गदाधर श्रीवासदि गौर भक्तवृंद हरे कृष्णा हरे हरे राम 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 हरे हरे. So we continue reading from Srimad Bhagavad Gita, chapter 2, verse number 15. The contents of Bhagavad Gita summarized, chapter number 2. So we are reading 15th verse. Actually, now Krishna is going to start, already started the Sankhya. Sankhya is actually from the after 10th, after Krishna got Arjuna surrendered to Krishna fully. Ishaseham Shadimam Tapanam Bhavanam 2 and 7. Then eventually he will take full shelter of Krishna. Please let me know what is my duty. Then we are going ahead with 15, the part of Sankhya till 37 also, when before Buddhi Yoga starts. Yam hina vyathayantyete purusham purusharshava samudukha sukham dhiram somratatvaya kalpate. Oh, best of men, the person, Arjun, the person who is not disturbed by happiness and distress and is steady in both is certainly eligible for liberation. Amen. We're going to speak Matra Sparsha also later on. But here he's saying, Yamhina Vyathyamtyete Purusham Purusharshava Sama Dukkha Sukham Dhiram. Dhiram word is very important. He is steady, Dhira. When the intelligent person, equal in happiness and distress, who is not pained by these two sense objects, attains liberation. Who is not pained by, so who is equal also, and the Prabhupada is telling steady. Steady means he will go on to do the activity. Messenger is saying same thing in a different way. Who is not pained by these sense objects. What does it mean? Not pained means one is not experiencing the pain from, then he will not get disturbed. Not disturbed. That's what. But Baldev is saying, best of man, the person who applies his intelligence to dharma, whom the experience of the sense object by the senses does not disturb. Being equal to happiness and distress, it's for liberation. Soft. Tell softly to soft. So, what he's saying here, to apply his intelligence to dharma, which is not given in the verse, but he's saying that he applies his intelligence to dharma, whom the experience of sense object by senses does not disturb. Again, same thing. Senses, they experience sukha or dukkha. Samadukha sukham, that's what he said, dukkha sukham. Now he's saying that senses meeting sense objects, sometimes they give pleasure, sometimes they give pain. In the winter, water gives pain, touching with the body, and in the summer, it gives pleasure. So one who is not disturbed by both, the equal happiness is fit for liberation. So Prabhupada is telling, though we may experience little pain, Prabhupada is more appreciative of that. No problem. You go on doing your duty, then you are steady. Eventually the pain will go away, or a pleasure will also go away. Doesn't matter. Prabhupada means that. Purport.
Anyone who is steady in his determination for the advanced stage of spiritual realization and can equally tolerate the onslaughts of distress and happiness is certainly a person eligible for liberation. In the Varnashrama institution, the fourth stage of life, namely the renounced order sannyasa, is a painstaking situation. But one who is serious about making his life perfect surely adopts. One who is serious. Sannyas order of life in spite of all difficulties. The difficulties usually arise from having a severe family relationships, having to sever family relationships to give up the connection of wife and children. But if anyone is able to tolerate such difficulties, surely his path through spiritual realization is complete. Similarly, in Arjuna's discharge of duties as Kshatriya, he is advised to preserve, even if it is difficult to fight with his family members or similarly beloved persons. Lord Chaitanya took sannyas at the age of 24, and his dependents, young wife as well as old mother, had no one else to look after them. Yet for a higher cause, he took sannyas and was steady in the discharge of higher duties. That is the way of achieving liberation from material bondage.
One has to sever on family relationship to give up the connection with the wife and children or other members of the family. That's what then only the renunciation is complete, the spiritual realization is complete. So one has to tolerate. If there are difficulties, one has to do it as a duty and tolerate the difficulty. That's the point. I think practicing tolerance with this discernment. Discernment. Okay. Practicing tolerance with this discernment. The experience of sense objects will, with the passage of time, not give distress at all. See, practicing tolerance with the discernment. Discernment means actually the discrimination kind discernment. So this happiness and distress are coming out of sense perception. So one practices that to tolerate, then eventually they don't pain at all. The heat is there. If you practice not to have fan but to tolerate, then slowly the pain will go away. When a person reaches this state where there is no distress from the objects of senses, liberation of heart mind close at hand is qualified for liberation. So amrutattvaya kalpate. So amrutattvaya kalpate. Yeah, read the
In this verse, the Lord shows that by practicing tolerance of suffering for the sake of dharma, a person gains happiness. The word Veera indicated a person who makes virayati, his intelligence active in these matters of dharma. The experiences of the sense objects regarded as either favorable or unfavorable for oneself do not throw the person fixed in dharma into delusion of happiness and suffering. That person is fit for liberation, whereas those persons disturbed by happiness and distress are not fit for liberation. To make the meaning clearer, the Lord further describes the person. The person performing his duties of dharma is equal towards suffering due to the difficulties in attaining the goal of the duties and happiness, which ultimately results being without sad or happy face.
Eventually, he will become not disturbed by happiness and distress. Eventually, he will become somrutattvaya kalpate. Will be able to accept both of them with equal vision. If you learn to tolerate, basically, the matra sparsha is actually favorable and unfavorable is coming from the sparsha. Sense objects meeting the senses. That's where the joy or distress will come. So everybody has to tolerate. Otherwise, he'll be forced to tolerate. Can he change it? How much he can change? How long he can change? Grudgingly? Okay. If you don't understand that, our friend is saying, you have to grudgingly tolerate them. Anyway, you have to tolerate. Na sate vidyato bhavo, na bhavo vidyate sata, uvayorapi drushtontas svanayot tatvadarshibhi. Those who are seers of the truth have concluded that non-existence of the non-existent, there is no endurance and eternal, and of the eternal, there is no change. This they have concluded by studying the nature of the world. Amazing. That which is temporary, anyway, is not going to exist. There is no endurance. Non-existent doesn't have endurance, and the eternal doesn't have any change. Na sate vidyato bhavo, na bhavo vidyate satah. Uvayor api drushtontas tanavo Tattvadarshibhi. Anayo. Ubayorapi drushtantvastu anayos tattvadarshibhi. That's what this verse is. So there's no, for the non-existence, there's no endurance. For the soul, there's no change at all in this. That's the difference. There is no permanent existence of the body, no cessation of the existence of the soul. Those who see things in truth see this conclusion about both of these. Amazing, no? Amazing to understand. Okay, almost both same. So, but there is just to realize, he's using the word. You just realize. Purpose, the first thing. Then the endurance of the changing body, that the body is changing every moment by the actions and reactions of the different cells and is admitted by modern medical science. And thus, growth and old age are taking place in the body, but in spirit soul exists permanently, remaining the same despite all changes of the body and mind. That is the difference between matter and spirit. By the nature, the body is ever changing, the soul is eternal. This conclusion is established by the classes of seers of the truth, both impersonalists and personalists. In the Vishnu Purana, it is stated that Vishnu and his abodes all have self-illuminated spiritual existence. Jyotimshi Vishnur Bhuvanati Vishnu. The word existent and non-existent refer to only spiritual matter. That is the vision of the seers of the truth. This is the beginning of the instruction of the Lord by the Lord to the living entities who are bewildered by the influence of ignorance. Removal of ignorance involves the re-establishment of eternal relationship between the worshipper and the worshipable. The consequent understanding of the difference between the part and parcel of the living entity and the Supreme Person of God. One can understand the nature of Supreme by thorough study of oneself. The difference between oneself and the Supreme Being, understood as the relationship between the part and the whole. The Vedanta Sutras, as well as the Srimad Bhagavatam Supreme, has been accepted as the origin of all emanations. Such emanations are experienced by superior and inferior natural consequences. The living entities belong to superior nature, as will be revealed in the 7th chapter. Although there is no difference between energy and energetic, energetic is accepted as supreme, and the energy or nature is accepted as subordinate. The living entity, therefore, is always subordinate to Supreme Lord, and in the case of the master and servant, teacher and the taught. Such scholars, such clear knowledge is impossible to understand under the spell of ignorance. And to drive away such ignorance of the Lord. In ignorance, the Lord teaches the Bhagavad Gita for the enlightenment of living entities for all time. Amazing. So, people have not a difficulty to understand this aspect, how the soul is eternal and the body is temporary. But for the most of the common people who are categorized as the fourth class people, they will not be able to understand the difference between the soul and the body. And unfortunately, the society is filled with them maximum. So the same thing in the matter of majority, so-called majority. Everybody is thinking, nobody is thinking, so I should also not think. People are moving. But they are being cheated royally. Royally they are cheated by the reality.
The previous verse described the results for those who have attained the level of discrimination. Actually, as Shruti says, the soul is not attached to matter. Asangyo Hyayam Purusha. Thus, the Jiva does not have a relationship with the subtle or gross bodies and their products such as lamentation and bewilderment. This relationship is caused by ignorance. This is explained in this verse. For the soul, there is no existence of lamentation and bewilderment for the shelter, the body, since they have qualities opposite to the qualities of the soul. And there is no non-existence of the Jiva with its eternal form. The conclusion about these two, the body and the soul, as seen by the seers of the truth. But this conclusion,
By this one.
by this conclusion, there will be no lamentation and bewilderment arising from seeing the body and things related to the body, because Bhishma and others of the opposing party as well as its allies are indestructible, being eternal. How can Bhishma and others be destroyed, and why do you lament for them? That is the meaning of this question.
See here, bhavaha. In Hindi, bhav means some value. भाव कितना है? They ask every day. Different भाव कितना भाव है? तो जिसका भाव नहीं है उसको भाव नहीं पूछना चाहिए. ये भाव मतलब उनका एग्जिस्टेंस ही नहीं है, बॉडी का एग्जिस्टेंस नहीं है, मगर सब लोग भाव उसको ही देते हैं. That is the problem. But satah means eternal, which is eternally not changing. And उसको तो difference ही नहीं है. There's no difference for that. So people are bewildered by it. So whereas Arjuna is saying all the soldiers in terms of his own grandfather, his own teacher, in this way he is teaching, is seeing, which is a wrong thing. Is wrong. Why is wrong thing? Wrong vision. But he is not seeing in the platform of soul, which is eternal. And he is thinking that their bodies are going to be changed. Why should we give so much trouble to them? But anyway, body is going to change. That's the Krishna's point.
In this way, the Lord has criticized Arjuna's stance of being learned because of his inappropriate lamentation. Worship of himself alone is the means of destroying lamentation, and this arises from recognizing the difference between the worshipper and the object of worship. Thus, the Lord has taught the real dualism of the jivas or amsas, the worshippers, from himself, and amsi, the object of worthy of worship. Now there are statements like the following: Yadatma tattvavetu brahma tattvam deepopameneha yukta prapashyet ajam dhruvam sarva tattvair vishuddham jnatva devam muchyate sarva pashay. When the yogis realize the Brahman through the realization of Atma, which is like a lamp, after knowing the unborn, unchanging, pure Lord with all his ornaments, he attains liberation from all bondage. Such statements show that person who has knowledge about the Swarupa of conscious Amsha, the Jiva, is qualified for knowledge of the Swarupa of the conscious Amsha, that is the Supreme Lord. Because of such statements, first knowledge of the Jiva is taught to all persons without distinction, including the Kanishta devotees. With this and the following verses, the Lord begins giving an understanding of the difference between the body and Atma, since such understanding should not come in the middle of the work. The object which is subject to change, such as the body, does not have unchangeable nature. The changing Atma does not have the nature of changing. Unchanging Atma does not have the nature
of change.
Abhava. The body has the
nature of
change, and the soul has the nature of not changing. This conclusion about the body designated by the word asat, temporary, and soul designated by the word sat, permanent, is realized by those men who know the nature of these two, tattva darshibi. Describable, destructible, unconscious things such as the body is called asat, and indestructible soul with consciousness is called sat. The same conclusion is seen in the Vishnu Purana. Jyotishmi Vishnur Bhuvanani Vishnur Vanani Vishnur Girayodi Sascha Najjas Samudrashta Sayeva Sarvam Yadastiyam Nastina Vipravarya Chavipravarya. Vishnu is the planet. Vishnu is the world. Vishnu is the forest, mountains, and directions. He is the rivers and oceans. He alone is everything which is conscious and unconscious. He alone is everything which is conscious and unconscious. O best of the Vipras. The word Nasti refers to a dull matter, and the word Asti refers to the conscious entity. This is described in later verses. Vastasikim Putrachait Adi Madhya Paryanta Heenam Satyaita Satataika Rupa. Is there any object anywhere which has no beginning, middle, or end and remains continually in the form? Vishnu Purana. Thus, Nasti means dull matter, and Asti means a conscious entity by the explanation in the verse Vishnu Purana itself. Some say that the Lord speaks this verse in order to establish the Satya Karya Vada, The idea of Sankhya philosophers that the effect is inherent in the cause, but this is not the intention, since the verse merely serves to establish the true nature of the body and soul for a person bewildered by the lack of ascertainment of the nature of the body and soul by eradicating the confusion concerning them.
Satkaryavada maintains.
Satkaryavada maintains that the effect is inherent in the cause, since something which is real cannot arise from what is non-existent. By this, they conclude that Prakriti alone is the cause of evolution and destruction of the universe without the necessity of God. There is similarity with the statement of this verse. There is no creation of the non-existence, but the meaning of the verse is there is no permanence of the body.
So he is quoting. Maladevi is also quoting. Uttashara Upanishad quoted as well as Vishnu Purana, Tattvadarshi, this is Vishnu Purana is quoting. Jyotishamsi, Prabhupada also quoted that from Vishnu Purana, Maladevi Devotional is quoted. So, Nasate Vidyato Bhavo, Na Bhavo Vidyate Satah, Vayor Vidushtonpat, Anayor Tattvadarshi. The truth, they don't lament for that which is non-existent. Anyway, it doesn't temporary. That which is permanent, anyway, you can achieve. So that way, there is no change in the soul. So should we go to the next verse or will pause today?
Yeah. Can you scroll it down?
Up,
Last.
not?
No, some say that there is no creation only, no bhava of the non-existent. But it is non-permanence of the body.
There is similar between the statement. There is no creation, na bhava, okay, of the existence.
But they claim that there is no existence only, that does not exist. That's why it is illusion.
That which does not exist has illusion.
There is, means they misinterpret the word as na bhava asat. There is no creation of the non-existent. It does not create only. But real meaning is it is non-permanent.
Yeah.
Body.
See, Nasate Vidyato Bhava. Nasate Vidyato Bhava. Nasate is actually na the asat. Asat doesn't have existence. That's what I mean. It's not the asat is not created. Na bhavo vidyate satah. So actually the words are mixed up. Na bhava is saying asat. Nasate, na asat. Vidyate bhava. If na bhava asat is used, how can it be na bhava asat?
So means they claim that there is
actually
no
it's a word jugglery is not that.
But there is creation of asat also.
See, there is no asat as such from the Krishna's point of view. From the Krishna's point of view, whole material world is also sat only. It's a creation coming from Supreme Lord, no?
So that means here, literal meaning is non-existence or non-permanent.
Nasate vidyate bhava. See, sat means temporary, permanent. Asat means what? Non-permanent, simple. Meaning is non-permanent only.
But not non-existent.
No. What is saying? Nasate vidyato bhava. Na bhavo vidyate asat, no? So na bhavo vidyate asat means there is no value of which is not temporary, not permanent. That's what I mean. Why unnecessary jugglery that is? That's the point. Non-existent, if at all it is non-existent, why do you talk about it? If it is not, it's only in the mind only gutter is there. If it is non-existent, why do you talk about it? So it's existing, but it is temporary because of its temporary nature. And you call it as asat.
Prabhupada also non-existent.
What over answer? But what translation same Prabhupada gave? Na asato, na asato.
Concluded non-existence.
See na. Na asato, right? Non-existent. Vidyate, bhavaha. Endurance is not. Endurance is not. Bhava. So non-existent means basically that which does not exist longer. Eternally doesn't exist. That's not the point. So see, those who are serious of the truth have concluded that non-existent. The material body, simple. Now he's a material body, he's saying non-existent. Now you are catching the word non-existent. He's saying a material body has existence. Basically non-existent means doesn't exist for long, eternally. Eternally doesn't exist, simple. It exists only for 100 years or so, max. That's what is meant by non-existent, which is not going to exist eternally. The asat. One is sat, asat. Asat means non-permanent. So we should not get we should not get carried away by the words themselves. My point is only this thing. If at all, na sate means which is its meaning to be not existent. So why you talk about it? How can you talk about something which is not existing?
That's it, they say it is.
But it's existing. Now you call material body as permanent, which is a sat. Can you call it a fool? Then the fool number one will become them. Metal body is there, it's existing. You are able to see it, you are able to talk to him. To whom? To the body only you are able to interact with him. Now they say that it doesn't exist. It exists, it's temporary basically. Temporary. You have to be practical, you know. Alright. Thank you very much. We'll meet tomorrow. Thank you.